Around 4,000 years ago, in a kingdom in ancient Mesopotamia, there was a guy named Arcade who was poor, like he could barely put food on the table. To escape poverty, he worked hard. However, when he received the payment for his service, he lived very frugally and lent most of his income to a shield maker, who then paid interest on the loan. Instead of spending that interest to move to a bigger place, he kept living frugally and lent that interest to another shield maker, thus growing his wealth even more. After repeating this process for years, his wealth grew so big that he did not have to work again, since his money was working for him. So, he ended up as the richest man in Babylon. Of course, you can't lend money to a shield maker because that shield maker probably has a credit card or would rather go to a bank than look for you. But that story illustrates the power of passive income. Nothing is more powerful than when your money makes more money. It saves you time, effort, and provides you with financial support to pay all of your bills. But very few people achieve that milestone where their money works for them and not the other way around. Chasing money is not a bad idea, but chasing money your entire life isn't also a great idea either, because you need time for other things in your life. That's why I try my best to create as many sources of income as possible, but most importantly, make them as efficient as possible. The most famous passive income source is rental income. You have a property that's rented out, and then the tenant keeps sending you a check every month. Since real estate is not cheap, that check could be big enough to pay all of your bills. But what if you don't have the money to buy real estate? Of course, you don't need hundreds of thousands of dollars to buy a property. All that you need is enough for the down payment. The rest will be covered by your tenant. Even if the property doesn't generate income in the first year or so, it will in the future once rent prices rise year after year. But real estate isn't the only place where you can build passive income. In the 21st century, there are far more tools than most people know. So in this video, I want to share with you some real passive income ideas that you can implement right now. And most importantly, you don't need a lot of money to start. At number 1, we have vending machines. When we talk about passive income, we never mention vending machines because they don't sound as exciting as real estate, for example. But if you think about it, it's that kind of an asset that provides a constant stream of income and requires minimum effort if you automate it. There were 5 million vending machines in the US in 2015. These 5 million vending machines produce an average of $20 billion in sales each year. But most vending machines earn around $5 a week because it's not an easy business, like any other business. If your property is placed in a bad neighborhood, it will probably turn into a liability. But a well-placed vending machine can earn far more than that, potentially exceeding $100 per week or even hundreds of dollars per day. The challenge is to pick the right place and sell the right product. If you place it somewhere where there aren't many people, it's going to be one of those machines that earn $5 a week. But if it's in the highly visible location where it will regularly attract buyers, that's when you can expect a few $100s from it every week. It requires a lot of work in the beginning, but minimum management later. Isn't that the meaning of passive income? Before getting into this space, I highly recommend everyone to study it further because you have to understand what kind of product sells the best, what vending machines turn the highest profit, and what type of locations attract more buyers. At number 2, we have print-on-demand businesses. 10 years ago, this business was impossible. It just became mainstream recently, so it still has a lot of room to grow. You know, some businesses are so old that it's nearly impossible to get in and succeed because they're so crowded, but that's not the case with print-on-demand businesses. The global market for custom t-shirt printing industry is expected to cross $10 billion by 2025. T-shirts are cheap to source, have universal appeal, and are relatively cheap to customize. But it's a competitive field since there aren't many barriers to entry. If you want to compete with Tesla, for example, you need tens of billions of dollars to build electric cars. But if you want to start selling in-demand t-shirts, you need nothing except a good idea because there are multiple platforms that can take care of everything starting from delivery to management. Your job is to design and sell. Whenever I see someone wearing a t-shirt with something cool written on it, I want one as well. So if you have a good taste, you can spend some time designing cool t-shirts on Teespring, Printful, or any other platform and run some ads. If people find your designs desirable, it will turn into passive income where you can keep selling your t-shirts with minimum effort. You can come up with new design every 3 to 4 months to sell another t-shirt to your existing clients. Number 3. REITs, or Real Estate Investment Trust. REITs are popular among investors who want to invest in real estate but don't want to deal with management. Of course, renting a property is great, but it requires some management. So there are firms such as American Tower or Brandywine Realty Trust that invest in office buildings, for example, in Philadelphia, Washington, D.C., or Austin. REITs are traded in the stock market like any other company, but usually they offer a much higher dividend rate. For example, Brandywine Realty Trust offers a 5.5% dividend rate. That is incredibly high. But you have to understand that their stock price doesn't increase much. Most of the money you're going to make out of this company is from dividends. There are a lot of different REITs. Some of them invest in commercial properties, others in residential areas, some just own land across the country, and so on. The high dividend yield is what makes them so good as a passive income candidate. But be careful with them, because if you invest in the wrong REIT, you might lose your investment at the cost of high dividends. So pay attention to how the trust has been performing over the last few years at least. Number 4. Rent a room on Airbnb. If you have an extra room in your house that you do not use much, renting it on Airbnb is the way to go. With Airbnb, you will most likely rent it twice higher than renting it on a long-term basis. Of course, Airbnb means a lot of management because you need to clean the room, make sure it has all the necessities before every guest comes in, but nevertheless, it's a great source of income. And since your guest is going to stay in the next room, your guest won't ruin your room. Some people even take a mortgage and let Airbnb tenants pay off their mortgage. It's a great way to build wealth over time. Of course, with COVID, it has become much more difficult, but I have no doubt that things will get back to normal because we humans are social creatures. We can't just be isolated. We want to travel, we want to see new places, we want to move around. We've been doing this since the beginning of human existence. And finally, the last idea is invest in a small business as a silent partner. When we talk about starting a business, we usually mean starting a huge business, but there are plenty of small businesses that could be very profitable, such as a corner shop or a barber shop. Of course, running a corner shop is a full-time job, but it could be turned into passive income if you join the business as a silent partner. In business, there is a concept called silent partner, where you don't deal with the day-to-day management of the business, but rather play more of an advisory role. These type of businesses do not need a huge capital, and their business model is pretty simple. You don't have to be a genius to find out how to start a profitable corner shop. Just take a look at what others have done. You might go 50-50 with someone else who is going to run the business on day-to-day basis and will get a fixed salary for it. But you're going to have a constant stream of income. But it's important that your numbers work out on paper at least before starting anything in this field, because it's an investment eventually. I did not include traditional passive income sources because we've talked about them in previous videos, but if you think about it, there are far more options than most people think about at first thought. And now it's your turn to let me know what's your favorite passive income source. Let me know in the comments below. If you have enjoyed this video, you will most definitely enjoy this custom playlist that I've created specifically for you that has our most popular videos on business, investing, and the stock market that could potentially change your life. And now give this video the thumbs up that it deserves and make sure to subscribe if you haven't done that yet. Thanks for watching, and until next time.